Cybersecurity experts have found an easy way to spot North Korean hackers. They never use the shift key. Their key to success is control. Also, they have enter and return key missing on their keyboards. They will be shot in the head for using the escape key. Whatever half of America's has their alt key stuck. Do they even know how to shift? Obligatory what? An original joke in our jokes? Who likes capitalism lol? They use caps lock because they love to throw whoever thinks of capitalism in prison. I don't get it. What does shift have to do with capitalism? But they thwarted that loophole because they love capsule ISTS being locked up. I thought you'd say they were shiftless workers. All caps were liberated and forever unlocked by the dear leader. Day drinking at a brewery is for some reason much more socially acceptable than day drinking at a bar. You don't go to a brewery just to get drunk, it's a cultural experience sampling the product of local craftspeople and learning about their process. Something, depends. Day drinking is one of those classy if you're rich, trashy if you're poor things. 3 martini lunch versus a case of natty light on the front porch. Brewery would be somewhere in between. It's not day drinking, it's a beer tasting. Currently breweries are popular social activities. Going to bars aren't. It's not the day drinking, it's the popularity of the venue. Day drinking at home is a classic. It's socially neutral. There's usually food at a brewery and it's a different environment. That's what's great about sports. They make day drinking at bars acceptable. And day drinking at a bar is more acceptable than day drinking at work, but you can't drink all day unless you start in the morning. If you serve your children frozen chicken nuggets, you're a horrible parent. My kids won't fit in the microwave. Asked my kid one time if he wanted a frozen pizza for supper. He said no, which kinda surprised me since he usually loved them. Then he asked me if he could have one of those pizzas I cook in the oven instead. He was being serious. Find a couple minutes to throw them in this a joke about tossing kids into the microwave, or just a PSA. I froze my children in the freezer and fed them chicken nuggets while they were inside. Good enough? I tried it. My son doesn't complain anymore and he got a nice tan. Thanks for the advice. That's like my dad didn't like fresh ice. He went for the frozen kind every time. Cute. Instructions unclear, ended up arrested for attempted child endangerment. What if the child loves frozen chicken nugget? As a kid we liked to cook frozen French fries in an easy bake oven. Still remember the food poisoning fondly. Most important body part. I once saw a semi-serious discussion among physicians on this exact topic. Someone made a fairly convincing argument that the small intestine was the most important essential part of the human body, and the rest of us only serve to service the small intestine by delivering food there and carrying waste away. Oh, FFS, you're all getting into the weeds, stop it. The brain is the most important body part, according to the brain. True dat. The leg and eye are not organs. My friend quit his job at BMW. Whenever someone leaves, 2 parking spots become available. He really wanted Audi. You know what's a good prank at the BMW plant? Send the new hire to find the turn signal bulbs. Will be interesting to see what direction he goes from here. Ran out of indication fluid. Now that's living life in the fast lane. I drive a BMW and I use blinkers. I even stop before the crosswalk and let pedestrians pass. Should I feel ashamed? He didn't look back. Obviously, they were driving him crazy. Okay, I'm going to be the one. What's the joke? BMW blinkers operating badly. Or the typical BMW drivers just doesn't use them? I have a Tesla and I hate the blinkers operation, and everyone says it's just like BMW. He gave no notification he was going to left. Sorry for being an idiot. What am I missing here? I would love to understand this joke. Order Jack and Coke. Bartender asked if Pepsi was okay. I said sure. I saw this in comic form years ago. Found it. I heard a similar joke about 2 guys ordering a pint of moose piss and a glass of Coke. The bartender says sorry, we only have Pepsi, is that okay? The 2 guys agree. A moment later, the bartender serves them with a Coke and a pint of Pepsi. I think that my brother might have come up with that one. Okay, you got me lol. What the hell? Suddenly Jack and Coke has whole new meanings. Who knew? Oh hell, this made me actually. I bet you that the bartender helped his Uncle Jack off a horse. Paul Rubens' favorite drink? Jack Squirt. Very nice. I thought for sure it was going to reference still swallowing something that didn't taste good. I don't want a cheeseburger. Lol. No Coke. Pepsi. Hunter Jack and Coke. SEO ruined the internet. There was a sweet spot when the internet was actually good. The phrase "shitification" has been used a few ways, but it was originally coined to mean this companies that see both the user and advertiser as customers, who monetize one too much, then the other, until it becomes a death spiral where they try to squeeze the maximum out of both, ruining their platform. Doesn't seem to happen to orgs that monetize just one way, like Shopify. It's a specific curse of social media, search and all other double-dipping middlemen. Is it not just my imagination, then? People seem to think I'm crazy for saying Google etc. are useless now. If I search something I never get results for the stuff I'm actually looking for anymore. Just companies after my money. Capitalism ruins everything eventually. The love of money is the root of all evil. If you think about it, capitalism ruined the internet. Till it would take 19 minutes to fall from the pole to the Earth's core. This happened to my cousin once. If there was a hole from the North Pole to the South Pole, and I jumped in one end and built up enough speed to start flying upward through the other side, how close would I reach the other hole? I'd start to get bored halfway down and begin scrolling Reddit for something fun to look at. Depends on high up the pole you are. I saw this documentary too. Brandon Fraser was great. The fall enslaves us all. That's not actually very much. Yeah, but like only from the North Pole. If you're on the South Pole, you'll just fall down into space. That's why nobody lives there. I saw a dancer fall off a pole. She was embarrassed and ran backstage and we didn't see her for 19 minutes. The interesting part is any tube cored through the Earth, even if it doesn't go through the center of the Earth, takes the same time to fall through as a consequence of the shell theorem. Till around 2000 mentally ill World War II veterans were lobotomized against their will for things such as PTSD, depression and homosexuality. I feel like the thumbnail seems too positive for such a depressing fact. It's hard to imagine how taking a whisk to the brain was ever thought to be a good idea. Look up what they did to JFK's sister. Disgusting family all around. She was rebellious and they drove a fucking ice pick through her head and she lived the rest of her life as a vegetable. There was nothing wrong with her. Lovely how much this country claims to love its vets and soldiers and we give so many of them absolutely nothing in return. How most of them come back worse. Too many people in this country glorify warfare and forget about the people. Remember, this is America, we support our troops. TM. Till average onset of menstruation for girls in 1840 was age 17. In 2000 it was 12 years old. The average teenage girl in 1840 suffered from varying degrees of malnutrition. That's hunger for you. Might also have to do with less reported numbers or false data as it was considered a taboo, then less education and scientific knowledge around causes biology. Edit spelling. With an abundance of food, animals will reproduce at younger ages. When I started menstruating in 1960, the average age was said to be 13, so most of the drop had already happened. We weren't eating a lot of highly processed foods or high fructose corn syrup then, and there wasn't nearly as much plastic around, so I'm skeptical that these are the causes. Till that, to keep young military recruits' attention, the Nazis' Tiger Tank manual was filled with dirty jokes, limericks and porn. The manual also contained a big-breasted blonde character named Elvira, usually sketched in red to more readily jump out of the pages. Tank mean where's Elvira book? The US Army still does some of these. I think they've been toned down a lot over the years, and I don't think they were ever as direct as this one. The Preventive Maintenance Monthly. For your average crayon-eating tank crew, this is great communication. Effective visualization and attention grabbing. The US does something similar but obviously not to this extent. And yet, your link shows none of For the Boys 3A2F. That and Meth. Elvira is depicted mostly in quite tasteful manner. Till when Conan O'Brien reached a settlement with NBC over the Tonight Show drama, he was awarded $45 million, $12 million of which was for his staff who had moved with Conan to Los Angeles from New York when he left late night. Such BS how NBC treated the whole situation. He also made $150 million when Sirius bought his podcast company. He talks more about it here. It's an interesting topic. I personally think his career is better off now. If you haven't read Bill Carter's book on it, you should give it a read. Actually changed my opinion somewhat. I hated Jay at the time, but after reading it I think he was put in a very difficult situation and empathize with him somewhat. Quick summary of the Tonight Show drama. What do you call a slut who keeps track of how many men she has slept with? For Christ's sake. It's a tally-ho and I'll have no more said on the matter. I personally call her your mom. Calculate whore. She's got a head for numbers and she gives head for numbers. A dicks count whore. Traditional punchline, you mama. My ex-wife. Rax, you know. Your mom. Score whore. Toll taker. A slutistician. Mom. Joke doesn't make sense. I got the joke. I'll use it but say twat instead. Melissa. This isn't really funny and a phrase is not a name, dumbass. Normally it's the guys who have a problem with that. A hodometer. What do you call an accountant that does on-live ends on the side? A professional. Haha. Nice. This question is scumbaggery. I hate how good this is, so it's getting an upvote naturally. Man, I've been trying to make a joke out of that punchline for so long. But I'm probably number 10. Cal, come later. What is a dead giveaway that you're unattractive? If you tell a self-deprecating joke, Everyone will look uncomfortable or get quiet. Your family never asks why you're single. The only compliment you get is that you're funny. The only person who says you're handsome or pretty is grandma. Small kids saying you're ugly. When the popular kids would prank their friends by getting you to ask their friend out, you get the sympathy smile. When people try to compliment your appearance, and only ever land on brave. We were on a camp and played this teenage kissing game. A girl that I had never quite interacted with before said that she won't participate if I do. It didn't feel quite nice. One time a girl in my history class looked at me with the most disgusted look on her face and said, "I'm not sitting next to him." What relatively vanilla sexual thing have you not yet done? Car sex. Had a fulfilling sex life with a long-term partner that I loved and trusted. I've never came in a woman's mouth. I'd kiff that's vanilla though. Face sitting, blowjob where I finish. I've had 2 girlfriends, who are the only 2 people I have had sex with. My first girlfriend never gave me head once, despite me going down on her every single time my pleasure, just as much as hers. Current girlfriend will give me very short blowjobs, like 10-15 seconds before we are about to have sex, but that is it. And by no means is that a complaint. But I do wonder what it's like to just lay there and receive the entire time. Shower sex. Have never tried it. Woman shrugging. I've had sex with various partners, but they never participate in oral. I do, because I'm a munch, but it's always been strange to me. Reverse cowgirl. What things have you noticed since losing 20-30 pounds? You get cold way easier. I used to weigh 245 pounds and got as low as 165 later that year. Pants. It's always the first to start feeling tight when I gain weight and first to feel loose when I lose it. My sciatica pain went away. I was 271 pounds. Here in Asia, I was like a behemoth. So regular stores pretty much was an automatic no size for you. I lost around 80-ish pounds in around 2 years. Losing all that made buying clothes way easier. I could finally shop at regular clothing sections at department stores or malls, order online, and not need to go to the plus size section. People are nicer. What was cool in 5000 BC that's still cool now? Sitting around the campfire, looking up at the Milky Way, using little pictures as text. Dabble, it's all the rage then. All the rage now, getting fucked up. I'm always amazed at how quickly so many different human civilizations discovered alcohol. Boobs. Finding a cool rock or a cool stick. A good night's rest. I guess throwing anything and hitting the target. Throwing axes, spears, darts, beer pong, sex, clubbing. That feeling right after you push out a huge dump. Eyes. Sitting and watching a fire. Being strong as fuck. Dogs. Art. Drummers. Beer. Fishing. Psychedelic mushrooms. Orgy celebrating spring. The classics. Keith Richards. Gold. What's a song you didn't know was kinky until you were older? I kinda had an opposite one. I used to think that Mommy Kissing Santa was about the mother having an affair with Santa. I just recently learned a few years ago that it was the dad dressed as Santa. House of Fun by Madness. 16-year-old boy goes to buy condoms and confuses the female pharmacist with his choice of euphemisms. And then his teacher, also female, turns up. Spent 9 weeks in the UK charts in 1982, reaching #1. Cake by the Ocean. As a kid, me and my sister loved SM by Rihanna a lot. She Bop, Cyndi Lauper, Inner Circle Sweat, ah la 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 long. It must been almost 15 years after release that I learned what really is floating in my ears. Lola by the Kings. Warrant Cherry, yeah, I know. Macarena, Poker Face, Afternoon Delight. What's the craziest yet still legal thing in your country? In Germany, you are allowed to enter private property to follow your honeybee swarm if the swarm is escaping and looking for a new hive. Someone can be found guilty of defamation even if what that person said or wrote is 100% true. A direct ancestor, descendant, or spouse of an individual cannot file a theft complaint against that individual except if it's essential documents, like an ID. I don't know if it's really crazy. I personally think it's good and reasonable. But here in Germany it's not punishable to escape from. In reality they might charge you with other things like property damage or assault etc. if you damage something or someone on the way out, but the act of breaking out itself can't prolong your sentence because the need to be free is a fundamental human desire. Notwithstanding clause allowing Canadian politicians to legally ignore citizens' rights. Yeah, that one is pretty fucked. What's the wildest cheating story you've witnessed or happened to you? My ex-wife pretended to be admitted to a mental health ward for long-term treatment while actually staying with her new man and cheating on me. A friend caught her husband cheating because he kept coming home smelling like ferrets. Hard to play off long day at work and explained she found out at a holiday party that one of the young female coworkers owned ferrets. It all made sense. I knew a guy years ago that was a private investigator. Many times he was approached by a spouse who suspected their partner was cheating. He had a slam dunk strategy. He would suggest his client sign up for a course, whether a hobby thing or educational. The key was that the class would happen for a period of weeks, all on the same day of the week, and all at the same time of day. Then, while his client was in class, he would follow the spouse. Caught them every time. Who is actually paying for OnlyFans? People who know the person and wanted to know what they looked like naked. Only the fans, I guess. My Uncle X's uncle was found to have spent over $100,000 on over the course of around 8 or 9 months. He inherited a large sum of money when his mother died, quit his job and turned into a basement dweller. He was really controlling over my aunt, and she had no visibility into their finances, so when she eventually found out how much he was spending, she quickly divorced him. 2020 was ripe with all your coworkers posting nudes for $5.99. I paid my $7 once, chick was super cute. But it was nearly all photos, the few videos were not long enough to get the job done. Longer vids were all additional dollar. Cancelled before second month, wasn't even worth the $7. Who is the most badass person to have ever lived? Rotmist Vitold Pilecki. He purposely made himself be caught and thrown into Nazi death camp in Auschwitz to infiltrate it and organize underground resistance and do general recon. He then escaped with another prisoner to fight in Warsaw Uprising. Mary Vincent, she had her arms chopped off by a serial killer, was left for dead in a drainage pipe, and somehow got herself to safety and survived. She was able to testify and had him put on death row. Private Desmond Doss. He refused to use a gun but carried 75 men to safety, including 2 of the wounded Japanese soldiers on the other side used his medical knowledge to save their lives. He is the only conscientious objector to win the Medal of Honor as awarded by President Harry S. Truman. Women shed sheets of hair in the shower, but it's men who have to worry about going bald. Men and women shed hair roughly equally. The reason why women's hair is more noticeable, that's the reason for the sheets, by the way, is because there are typically longer. As a man with long hair, men shed hair just as much as women. Men and women shed the same amount of hair. My so's hair is 1-2 inch long. Mine's on average 6 inches long. You will see 12 times more of my hair and it also won't go down the drain like my so's can. Pro tip: brush your hair before you shower to remove the strays. Women go bald quite often. They just tend to wear good wigs and not tell anyone. Source: most of the women in my mom's family, and I'm on high alert with my naturally thin and fine hair as a female. As a man with long hair, you would think I was a husky, the amount of hair that comes off me. Women can also go bald. Nothing is fair.